What can I do when I'm so close to reaching my goal and then I get depressed and have all these awful thoughts about every single thing? Do you have a solution for those thoughts? The number one thing you got to do is you got to become aware of what does it take for somebody to change. And why do most people never change in this lifetime? The answer is simple, but the answer is quite ugly. We don't change in this lifetime because we are afraid of change. To put simply, we are afraid of our full potential. Now, that might sound a little bit strange. We, invest a lot of time trying to better our life. Why would we be afraid of our full potential? Why would we be afraid of who we want to be? It's because, think about this. If you were to stop procrastinating on the projects you've been procrastinating on, if you were to start and finish everything you've been committing to, if you was to go for it and no longer hold yourself back, guess what? You actually change. And that is very scary for the survival brain. Why? Because the moment you change, that marks the death of your old way of being, thinking, and acting. It literally marks the point in which you have to wave goodbye to this story that you've been telling yourself that you are every day. You are entering what's called the unfamiliar territory of your life. You have never been there. And this is why in that moment, that is scary. Hence why the mind will begin to utilize these different ways of self-sabotaging you. Self-sabotage is something we're all aware of, we've all heard of, but we don't really realize how much of it we really do because we aren't aware of what to look out for. Here are some of the hidden secrets here. I'll share with you just some. Notice if you can relate to this. Self-sabotage is any form of behavior, by the way, whereby your behavior is preventing you from getting what you really want. Your mind is very smart, by the way. It is not dumb. And so although most of us think self-sabotage, we are able to be aware of, that we're sabotaging ourselves, your mind tends to operate covertly. It tends to be hidden. What do I really mean? Let's say you're trying to succeed in your wealth pillar. And let's say your wealth pillar is going up, 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 and everything's changing in terms of your wealth. All of a sudden, your mind wouldn't try to sabotage you here. Sometimes it does stuff like this. It will begin to sabotage your relationships back at home. All of a sudden, the relationship pillar, you're getting to arguments with people randomly, right? You're sabotaging this pillar called relationships of your life. Why would your mind do that? Because eventually that will impact your wealth and you'll go back to where you've always been. Making sense? How many of you know what I'm talking about? With achievers, sometimes this happens in terms of health as well. We're doing so well in terms of career, all of a sudden, you experience the worst burnout of your life. How many know what I'm talking about? Stress, health crisis comes out of nowhere. And we think, it's because I weren't looking after myself. But here's a fact. If you've ever had random illnesses or injuries following great successes, I'm here to say it wasn't random. Your mind has an interesting way of ensuring you always maintain the status quo. This is the safety mechanism. The mind needs to maintain stability. It doesn't want you to change because change is scary. How many of you right now, just hearing this, you're like, wow, I've experienced some of that before. So of course, the sense of the thoughts you talk about here, in terms of you're saying depression, the anxiety, whatever awful thoughts you've been having, it is always, if you think about it, these thoughts are designed to pull you back. And so what is the ultimate solution? The solution is firstly, you got to question what is your level of goodness in your life. What do you believe your maximum level of goodness in your life is? Because we've all got a belief in terms of what we believe we can have in terms of maximum amount of goodness. Anytime you surpass that, anytime your life is more than what you believe, what do we begin to do? We begin to sabotage ourselves. True, by the way. Right? Let's say, for example, you're mentally now really well because you've been healing yourself on board LMA. What will end up happening as you begin to heal, all of a sudden your mind's like, whoa, that's way beyond what I believe you deserve. Because how many of you have ever been so ill, you forgot what well feels like? That sense of happiness is almost like the unfamiliar territory. That's what I used to struggle with, as in I truly used to believe I don't deserve to be happy, right? So anytime I was healing myself and I'm like, wow, life is amazing, deep down, all of a sudden my mind begins to do all of these different anxious attacks, different thoughts in my mind, different ways of sabotaging myself, and I'm just back to where I've always been. So question your level of goodness and discover the secrets to really being able to uplift that, elevate that.